Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So happy you could join us today. And I know others will join in progress or join by video or recording. So we're happy to have everybody on the call today. It's an exceptional day. We got a couple of really incredible guests today. Actually, co-hosts is what they really are today. And we want to open the floor up. This is a very conversational call today. It's not really what I would ever call an interview. So we welcome questions throughout the entire call. Please don't be afraid to raise your hand, or send a message in the chat window. We're here for you guys. So that's what our purpose is. So today we've invited Brian and Katerina to join you to talk about media and how to pitch yourself in the media. I've known both for a little while now, and I've had the privilege of having Katerina on the show last fall, which was incredible and was so appreciated. And I've been working with Brian now for months, and he has interviewed a few of you guys. And if he hasn't yet, there's an opportunity we can talk about after the show or at the end of the show. But I know that Brian has the most extraordinary connections I've seen in a long, long time. He's very well connected with a lot of different people, and he's been doing an incredible job with our authors, and he has been one of our biggest fans, which we so appreciate. So I'll let you two take over the mic and just give yourself a little bit of an introduction, and then we can either start right away with questions, or you guys can tell us a little bit more about what you do and how to pitch to the media for these folks. So thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us. Katerina, you get to go first. Ladies first.
Perfect. Excellent. So first of all, Judy, thank you for that introduction. Brian and I are very excited to be on this call. I have spoken to this group before, although I don't know how many of you may have been on that previous coffee chat. If you're new to me, that's great, because Brian and I are going to go through some things. Both of us are primarily based in Los Angeles, in Hollywood. Both of us collectively have almost a 50-year pedigree in media. And what we want to share with you as authors, as entrepreneurs, is how the heck do you build the visibility to get yourself miles ahead of the competition? And I really want to start with one thing, and that is the biggest fallacy that's happening right now. And we're really happy to answer your questions. I'll bump this over to Brian in just a minute, but I want to give this to you as a place to start and a place to think about, and then we'll launch off. The biggest fallacy that all of us have been fed over the last, I would say, 5 to 6 years is that social media is the way to go. It's the only way to go. Have your Twitter, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, all of that. And that's awesome, except for if you're only focusing on social media, and it's a great medium, especially as a new entrepreneur, a new entrepreneur, you are going to be left behind. Why? Because credibility still comes from being featured in larger, recognized platforms. Your CNNs, your Fox News, your Forbes magazine, your Bloomberg, your Oprah Winfrey. At the end of the day, it's wonderful to have 3,000 followers on your Facebook page. And how many of you have your mom love your stuff, right? And CNN today gets 65 million unique hits a day. Fox News gets 62 million unique hits a day. Bloomberg and Reuters get close to 40 million hits a day each. So you can put the same energy into creating a post for your social media and have 3,000 people love it and maybe 2 people share it. Or you can put that same energy into building your media footprint in a way that is going to create a 65 million person touch point. If I'm asked to spend the same hour for an effort, I'm going to choose the effort that's going to create the most impact. And that's what Brian and I are here to talk to you about today. So if you're interested in that, please put your hand up. because we are going to give you the secrets to the trade over this hour, and we're really happy to do that. So, Brian, I'm going to bump it to you now.
Oh, thanks, Katerina. You look beautiful as usual. And obviously, my friend, my co-host, I like talking to everybody because everybody's around the world. You see how everybody is. So, Joanne, I got to say hi. Luis, I got to say hi. I see Pauline on there. She and I talk all the time. I love talking to people. Tom, I haven't met you yet. Muriel, pleasure to meet everybody. If I leave somebody out, I will mention you because this is what we're supposed to do. I love doing this format. I love that the fact that we are considered one of the best in the world. That's exciting to me. There's so many people that don't even know who we are, and that's okay too. But what I like to do, I haven't written a book. Katerina has. My book will come soon, and guess what? It's going to be going through Hasmark because I like what Judy does. I like the company. I like what Danielle does out of Portugal. She and I talk daily. She is one of the phone calls that I make to 15 countries a day. This is why I don't get any sleep. I'm always on energy. I don't drink coffee. I'm kind of always like this. And sometimes the only time I can calm myself down is if I go to the movies. And Pauline, when I talk to Pauline, I'm like, this is before her book was coming out. And I knew she was scattered on doing stuff, but we connected on cleaning. I'm a clean freak. And it was fun to deal with her because I could relate to her book. And I have not met any of the authors yet that I haven't been able to relate to. And I think this is exciting.
And I'd like to just piggyback on that for just a moment. For those of you who don't know Brian, I'm sure it was in the description for this coffee chat. He is the host and founder of Movie Reviews and More. It is run across a ton of platforms, including iHeartMedia and Women on TV and just a ton of radio and television networks across the USA. But more importantly, he has interviewed almost any A-list star that you could imagine. Everyone from Arnold Schwarzenegger to Sharon Stone to Sting to a roster of people, and he's one of the most humble men that I know. I was lucky enough to team up with Brian about 3 years ago and become a co-host on his show, Movie Reviews and More. And we streamed to millions of views, which is why, again, you're going to get some really great insider information today. We are here to answer your questions. So I think what we might do, Judy, is bump it to the floor, have some people ask some questions, and as those questions unfold, Brian and I can organically offer tidbits of information. There is so much to share. There is so little time, and we will do our absolute best to get to you all.
Okay, how about, hi, I'll kick off a question. My name is Tom Herstead. I'm the author of Second Line West. The book is, we've signed a movie deal. Ooh. And it's in the works. Would it be a consideration to do an interview prior to the film being completed? Or does it have to be in production? Right now we're in the hurry up and wait in this movie industry to complete financing on our production budget. Our screenplay's finished. We got a casting director. There's a lot of momentum here. But when would I approach both of you to consider doing something?
Katerina, you want to go first? Or you want me to take it?
Sure. No. So Tom, thanks for sharing that. Congratulations, first of all, on getting there. That's excellent. It's a big feat to write a book, and it's a really big feat to get a screenplay in motion. So big congratulations to you. It is never too early, is my answer to that. Oh. And one of the ways you can work it is simply to create the right spin. Okay. When you work with professionals like Brian and I, what we do is we look at where's your project at and how can we relate it to hot topics of today. Okay. One of the things that's going to really open the door for all of you is to take whatever your content is and figure out a way to position it in real time. So hot themes for today: Afghanistan, COVID, vaccine passports, the economy recovery. Take a look at your project. Take a look at how you might be able to piggyback off of one of the global hot topics. And then you spin it in a way that makes you an interesting guest. Whether or not your project is finished, whether it's in development, whether it's even in the concept stage, if you have the right PR spin on it, people will be interested. And again, without going into details, there's a lot of ways to work this. Look at what your project has in common with the top 10 headlines of today. That'll get your foot in the door much faster than coming out of the blue, coming out of obscurity and saying, hey, I've got this project. No one cares. But if you can say, hey, I've got this project that relates to global warming, it's going to get a little bit more attention. So that's a little bit of a nugget for you to think about, for all of you to think about. How can I play off of today's hot topics?
And Tom, I would say this, because I'm dealing with a lot of these people. This is why you see people walking back and forth. We got a bunch of great deals, things going on. So I'm really excited about this. And I only told a little bit to Katerina yesterday because there's so much to talk about. So one of the things I would say is it's never too early. If you watch the Super Bowl or the World Cup, you see the summer movie trailer coming for the summer or the year end. The reason why they do that, because that's where all the eyeballs are. So it's never too late. And whatever your project is, if it's movies or TV, it's going to take a while because we're in a world of uncertainty. But I can tell you, I'm absolutely certain on what I'm doing. I can't tell you how, but I can tell you why. And the reason that is because we started doing our own thing. And the reason and how I met Katerina, she was at the same radio station that I was at. And I'm looking at her photo and I'm like, there's something about this young lady. I'm like, I can help this woman. So you know what I did? I reached out to her. And a lot of times when you're reaching out to someone, sort of like you're reaching out to a film director or a screenwriter, they don't know who you are and you got to wait for them to respond. So while you're waiting for them, it could be a missed opportunity, but you don't stop. You always go on to the next thing. It's the same thing when we're, Pauline, I'm going to use you as an example because I like to pick on you because I like to clean. There's one of those things, she and I connected on cleaning. I love to clean. And I said, I haven't even read your book and I already like it. So I could take this and always talk about this. So it's one of those things, it's never too early. Keep doing it. It's about sharing. You got to keep sharing. When Judy puts something up, I share it. If I see Katerina put something up and we're talking about it, I want to make sure I talk about it. It's about sharing.
Tom, just a side note before we move on to someone else. What is your book about, Second Line West?
It's about my mother and how she led her life. Real quick, a widow at 38 with 4 kids, but our spare bedroom was very rarely empty. After she passed, we interviewed people that spent time in our home in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And the message that my mother has for the world is that we're born with an inherent desire, want, and actual need to connect and help one another. And it's through that experience that we ourselves experience joy and fulfillment. It's not in the pursuit of money and things and wants and a checklist. It's in connecting and helping one another.
So again, thank you for writing about that. It's an incredibly important topic. And just based on that 30-second elevator pitch you gave me, my bells are going off on how I could get you onto 50 different radio shows. Based on that, based on what's happening right now with COVID, based on what's happening right now with elderly death, based on what's happening with reconnecting with homeschool values, just your book, if we sat down for an hour and analyzed it, we could come up with 7 ways and 7 spins. And the other thing is, and again, this is a generalization for everyone on the call, please remember that just because your content may be packaged in a certain category, for example, health or family or economics or mathematics, doesn't mean that you're limited to speaking to just those types of outlets. Because I can guarantee you, if you have a book on mathematics and it has some statistical information or some content that may be of value to a health magazine, with the right PR team behind you, we can spin that. And so your book may be about your mother and her values, which is incredible. We may be able to get you on MSNBC in the morning discussing a 3-minute feature because of your relatability to XYZ hot topic. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Perfect. So just keep that in mind for everyone on the call.
And Tom, real quick, what I would do, that sounds like a Lifetime film to me and Hallmark. So what I would do is I would have one of my friends come on. This is what I do for movie reviews and more, and put you on with one of those, whether it's an independent director, whether he's doing short films and connecting that way. I love to do that, and it always works. Not very, very few people do that. Why? I don't know. Maybe they're clueless, but it does work.
Great.
Well, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
So any other questions, people? You guys are welcome to raise your hands. In the meantime, I do.
Sarita.
Oh, Sarita raised her hand. Good.
I did.
There
Thank
she
you.
is. And
Hi,
she's a
Judy.
recent TV star. She did her first one yesterday, correct?
That's right. Yes, my very first TV interview. Yes, on the Legacy.
Yeah,
and then,
congratulations.
Thank you so much. My question is related, yes, leading on from that, I guess. It was my first one and it felt quite out of my comfort zone, which is great. I'm happy to do that, but I would love some advice how to become good at being interviewed. So that was wonderful how it went, yes, last week, but I would like to appear much more professional and comfortable, and especially as you were saying, if the goals are to get on the big shows and the CNN, etc., my skills feel quite amateurish. So how could I improve my skills and appear professional and have the credibility that other people have?
You sign up with Katerina Cozias.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love that you use the word credibility, Sarita. Thank you, Brian, for that. That's exactly what we do with our team here, is we build your credibility. So if you're looking to accelerate your authority, raise your hand. If you're looking to build your credibility, raise your hand. If you're looking to expand your ability, raise your hand, right? And all of that is so that you can be looked at as that expert.
Yeah.
Now, we are living in an age, especially folks after last year, where we talk to our grandmothers via video conference, right? So everything is now online. You want to polish your skills in a way that make it seem like you deserve to be there. All of you know your content. All of you, I have no doubt, have amazing information to share. And if you look like you've never done an interview before, the concern is that whoever happens across that interview, whether it's in live time or after in a repost, you can kind of tell right away if somebody's done this before. And if they haven't, you got a lot of stuff going on in your life. You're probably going to pass on that particular interview. You're going to scroll to the next thing. You're going to decide you want to go do your laundry instead. You're going to move on. So to create that initial visual impact of, hey guys, I'm here, I'm sitting in front of you, and I'm ready to share what I really want you to hear, is a multi-level process. And we do media training through our team specifically for that. We go through everything, including what to wear, how to wear it, where to place your hands, what to wear, what not to wear. And more importantly, we give you information on how to manage your language. I'm going to give you guys one small example, and I want you to write this one down. It's called the power of the pause. Okay? The power of the pause is, if I have something really important to say, I'm going to pause. So what that does is it interrupts the want that all of us have going on all day. And it makes the viewer lean in for a minute because they think, excuse me, they think, oh, wait, did my headphones just lose connection? Oh, wait, is this person going to tell me something that's a secret, right? You pull them in. The power of the pause allows the audience member to lean in. And when they lean in, if you're not choking, you got them. So that's some of the stuff, whether you're on radio, whether you're on television, or whether you're just doing a phone interview with a journalist, the pause in the strategic points of your particular pitch can create a mountain of difference in whether or not you're booked as a feature guest.
And for me, I tend to always listen to people in our radio roundtables, which we call junkets. If George Clooney is coming in, there'd be maybe 10 of us. There might be just me and myself. And George and I have always had a relationship. What I always like to do, I let them finish their sentence. And then as soon as they finish their sentence, I like to jump in because we always needed clean radio sound bites. If you notice from other interviews, they may finish your sentence, which is not the correct way to do it. That's why I kind of sit back and like, as soon as they're done, I'm thinking, what can I do with this person, if that makes sense? I'm looking at your name. I'm already thinking, oh, I already know how to market her just based on her name. But I still have to hear, as Katerina would say, the average attention span is only 8 seconds. So between 8 and 11 seconds, I got to know what I'm going to do with you. And I already know what I'm going to do with you.
And Brian mentioned something very important. It's called a soundbite. And when we hear the word as layman, we think, oh, okay, a soundbite is for a politician. A soundbite is for an actor. A soundbite is what is going to get you replayed. So let's say you sit down with Brian. You're fortunate enough to get interviewed on his show, Movie Reviews and More. And you sit down for an hour with him and his team. And you have 3 very strategically developed media sound bites. And again, as a team, that's what we do, strategic media development, okay? If you are clear with what your 3 top points are gonna be, it is irrelevant what the host asks you. It is irrelevant what sort of caller questions you get. It is irrelevant if the lights go out. You are equipped with your 3 key sound bites. And when you are really, really upping the chances of one of those getting clipped into a 30-second LinkedIn advertisement or clipped into the intro for the entire show that may have 7 guests. So everyone knows their content, but if you're not developing it in a way that will strategically elevate your exposure and visibility, again, you are leaving money on the table. So for many of you, you've done the work, you've had the dream, you've put in the effort, and now you need to expand your audience and you desire to make some money off the project, I assume, right? There's two things we've noticed with Judy's authors, right? Hasmark's authors. Number one, they're very, very purpose-driven, which is, again, why we are all in vibrational alignment. I'm a big fan of energy, and it is absolutely the reason we are all on this call. Purpose-driven, absolutely. Number 2, you have to feed your damn families, you know? And so to get compensated for the effort that you are sharing and the service you're providing is absolutely warranted. Our job is to help you do both. Make the biggest impact you can make and make the biggest impact for your family, for your kids' education, for your retirement fund, for your parents. You know, we all have different things. It's those 2 things that good media exposure will absolutely bring you.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Katerina.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Brian.
I can't wait to speak with you, and I will be speaking with you. I guarantee you that.
That'd be amazing. Thank you so much.
I love the confidence. That's incredible. So I think that's absolutely amazing. So thank you, guys. Okay, I know that Aldona's here and she's actually has a question. So maybe we can bring her on. Where are you?
Yeah,
Aldona.
I'm here.
There
Hello.
you are. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much to invite me. I'm originally Lithuanian, but I live in UK and I work as a nurse in nursing home in UK. And as you said, Katerina, COVID and COVID passports, it's really big topic for this time. Yeah. And so as I wrote it, I had 11 residents with COVID in February. It was really very hard time. And now about COVID passports in Lithuania, it's big issue, big issue. You know, it's a lot of people just disagree. It's just like all the war, you know, it's between vaccinated and between, and these passports, it's really big issue. And I asked, I received the letter, invitation to Brian radio. Yeah, I'll be love to to speak on maybe on this topic, as I am a nurse, and I have my opinion, and maybe it will help some people. Or just I asked, do you think it is good to be good content on my story? Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Katerina. Yeah, thank you very much for this.
Aldona, did you say you're Ukrainian?
Lithuanian.
Lithuanian. All right. So see, I already deal with where you are in that region already. I have a lot of friends there. So I like you already. I already know what to do with you too.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. And thank you, Judy, to invite me on this event. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's my book. Yeah, it's different book from COVID, of course. It's the way of the heart. It's just love story of family story of my friend who lives in Denmark, and she told me this story, and I wrote it, and published with Judy's company. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. But it does beg the question, Katerina, because as soon as Aldona asked the question about COVID and being a nurse, it stopped me for a second because I didn't see the connection, because I knew I had her book and I knew the book wasn't written about COVID. Mm-hmm. So how then would you market this book to become part of that, like you said, the top stories?
Sure, absolutely. So we always look at two things. We look at the individual author, and then we look at the project, because many authors are multiple authors, right? So in this case, we would be marketing The Way of the Heart, and we would also be marketing Aldona herself. What are her key pointers? She's a nurse. She's been in the front line of COVID. She's international, and she's an author of a heartfelt book. In this case, we can absolutely take that and then couple it with the top 3 or 4 pointers of the book itself, which at this point I don't know because I haven't read it. I haven't even read the summary. But assuming off of the title that it's based on really leading with love, we could get Aldona onto something pretty mainstream with respect to the fear that people are feeling. And she could come on as a credible guest because she is talking to people who arguably are in fear. They're in fear of COVID. They're in fear for their lives. And we then say that because of her experience with that amount of fear, she is recommending leading with love. And then we transition into her book and her content. So it's always a twofold. We didn't have a chance to talk to Tom about what he does, what his personal bio is, what his personal experiences are. But I imagine that there's something about Tom that we could lead with or pitch in conjunction with his book or his screenplay, Second Line West. Does that make sense? So please don't discount yourselves as part of the pitch, because many authors are humble. Many authors are out of their element. Many authors are new authors. You yourself have an energetic stamp that we can absolutely leverage.
And so for me, I would say this. I'm all about that because I know what most of the studios are working on when it comes to this. Katerina, I tell you, I saw this coming in 2018. I just didn't know what the name of it was going to be. How do you delicately talk about these things? I'm all about that. I like putting these people like this, like yourself, onto these future shows. This is what I love to do. I feel I'm one of the best in the world at doing that. Matter of fact, I will tell you I am. And I challenge you to beat me at that game. That's how confident I am when it comes to that. And I talked to Judy and I talked to Katerina about what we're doing and building all these things behind the scenes. So when it comes to things like this, I love things like this. I'm already thinking, you guys don't know, I'm already scanning your faces. I feel like I'm from Star Trek. I'm scanning your faces. I'm like, I already know what to do with every single one of you, but you don't know what I'm going to do, just like I did with Katerina. And like Katerina, I told her one day, Katerina, you need to go to Tennessee. And she had never been there, but the reason I wanted her to go, she's on a show. We did 4 shows. We only thought we were going to do 2. That one show is only almost at 1.3 million views. It's not on YouTube. It's only there on iTunes. Nobody knows about this outlet, but but I told her, we got to get you there. And she just said yes. And she's not one to jump on anything. She's not one to plan too far in advance, but she took the chance. So for all of you, all you got to do is take a chance. I suggest you sign up with Katerina. This is why I love Hasmark of what they do, because I like the authors. I have not met one author that I haven't liked, that I don't know what to do with so far, and they've all become friends.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would like just to tell the hero of this book, Asta. She's a nurse as well, like me, and she really in this position, and we can talk about COVID and about laugh about just connect something like Katerina said. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Well, what you are is you're a first responder. You're up there with firefighters, policemen, people in the rescue world. You are very, very important in my world. And Judy will tell you, Dr. Joanna Weiss, is it Joanna Weiss or Joanna Weiss? Joanna Weiss. She's coming on our show in November, and she's got a kid's book on COVID-19. So we've been talking, I think since March or April, and I've got her 2 books, and they're wonderful. I even worn her shirt on my show, talking about how to deal with it with kids. Like I said, I already know what to do with you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Hopefully they answered your questions, which I'm sure they did. So thank you, Aldona.
Thank you.
Excellent. I see Pauline has a statement here. Pauline, did you want to come on for a second?
Sure. I was just saying that when Brian is talking about how he listens and he's scanning everybody and his wheels, and I just wrote that I watch him in other interviews, and you can totally tell that he is listening. Like, I just look at his face, and he does look like a sponge. I can like literally see the wheels moving in his head, trying to figure out, like, what am I going to do with this person? How am I going to do it? What's the next question? So, but I actually do have a couple things to say, ask or comment, whatever. So one is on the interview process, right? I was wondering if Katerina would be willing to look at, I've been very fortunate with Hasmark to have so far 3 interviews done. So I have a little bit of a background, and I was listening to a media person on one of Peggy's for her author program, right? And he was talking about how, pretty much what Katerina was saying today, right? Because one of my concerns has always been, I have never done social media up until 3 months ago. I even own my own company, and I've never done social media. So when they're like, invite your friends to buy the book, and I'm like, I have no friends. I don't deal with much of my family anymore since my mom passed. And so it's like, I remember when you and I were first talking, Judy, and I said, well, I guess I got to come out of the closet. I've been hiding my whole life. I'm a mover and a shaker, but I'm not the kind that needs the pat on the back. So I just like operate from behind the scenes. And so to have to be able to, come out to the public is awkward. But you could probably tell that I don't have a lot of insecurities about public speaking, because in my life, I have done a lot of it. I do environmental work, and I work with legislators and politicians, and do a lot of presentations and that kind of stuff. But one of the things I don't remember who on this panel I asked, if it was Jenna or Judy or whatever, but it was like, or it might have been Danielle, right? Like with my interview with Brian, because that was my first one. And I was like, okay, like what? I was like, for 3 days I was nervous, and I'm not a nervous person about anything. I just like roll with the punches. But I just think about how, people have lost careers over one wrong sentence, right? Like, and so it's like, but listen now. So we're people on my side here, right? Are the messages that we're getting is, like you guys are saying, we're going to teach you how to do the right thing, right? But the other side is saying, just be yourself, right? So for like 3 days, I was like panicking, And it's an uncomfortable feeling for me. So then I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do what everybody says. I'm just going to act like this is another Zoom call, and I'm just going to be myself. So that's what I've done in the past 3 interviews. And I don't know if that's good or not. You know what I mean? Like, so I was just wondering if that was something that maybe you'd be willing to do. I mean, you don't have to watch the whole thing. I'm sure you're professional enough to get a couple of,
I want to jump on this because it's such a really, really important topic. And we get this question all the time, Pauline. Should I be myself or should I be cultivated and polished and primed? And the answer is both. Okay. The answer is both. When we work with our clients, we develop something we've coined the 3 E's. E like elephant. Okay. To have a very powerful interview, whether it's 3 minutes or an hour, right? Depending on the platform, you always want to balance the 3 E's. And I'm going to give you these highlights right now. We go into a lot more. We go into a lot more detail about your particular 3 E's. But the 3 E's are, you always want to balance at a 33% over the course of the time, engaging your audience, enlightening them, and entertaining them. And I'm just going to break those up real quick for you. Engage them with who you are, because if they don't feel a genuine connection, I promise you they will flip the switch. Okay. So how do you engage them? By being your authentic self. What does that mean? We'll go into it when we work together. Okay. But engage them with your realness. Very, very, very important in this time of fabricated bullshit is basically the best way I can say it.
Yep.
You want to be authentic. You also want to be enlightening, and you can kind of put a / enlighten / educate. Okay. This is where you come in with your knowledge, your statistics, your tips, your tricks, your secrets. You want to bring that in. Now, you got to engage them enough to stick around to listen to those tidbits, right? But you want to make sure that you balance those tidbits, that educational component, with some entertainment. Otherwise, you're just going to be lecturing somebody on the other end. So entertainment, a lot of people think of as, oh, darn, I've got to be humorous, right? I've got to be a comedian, and then they get scared. But talking about your grandmother dying of cancer is also entertaining. So entertaining doesn't mean humor. It means keeping them hooked on something. Engage, enlighten, and entertain your audience in a way that keeps them on board for the full 20-minute interview is really key. And so when you cultivate that, going back to Sarita's question, what makes you seem like a pro? The fact that you can navigate those 3 with ease and professionalism. You don't lose who you are. You don't pretend to be someone else, but you come to the table with a level of confidence because you have spent the time crafting those 3 E's. So I hope that is something that I can give you folks to think about. Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the last thing I wanted to mention was, and this is just to kind of help anybody else who's trying to figure out, how they can take their content and their, whatever they've authored and tied in to, something relevant. And I know that from, I wrote my book 30 years ago, for those of you who don't know that. But I remember just doing research back in those days, and they're saying the same thing that you guys are saying now, as far as tie it into something that's relevant, that's going on now, in order to bring people, to bring their interest to the table. And for me, most people will probably be thinking, well, cleaning. You're like, okay, how could she possibly do that? But I just wrote an article. I forgot what it was for, Jenna. I don't know, it was a blog or something, but it was called Timing is Everything. And it's based on the fact that, and I think Brian and I talked about this too, where what finally made me decide to do this was COVID-19. Because, and I say decide to do this, like really jump into publishing. You think about it all the time when your book's been written for 30 years, right? But knowing I have the resources now, but the fact that people, everybody's home all day, all the kids, and you're working from home. So now your home is even messier. The idea that a lot of people's incomes have taken a hit. And so those people that were paying for a cleaning service, can't afford it anymore. And then it takes his own spin with, putting a twist on, making it a positive, being positive about it, making it actually a fun event. And so that's how I decided. That was really why I decided to write the book, to help everybody. Because originally when I wrote it, I was thinking about the moms like myself. I was in school full time. I had no child support. I was divorced, 1,500 miles away from my family. Like, it was up to me, and so I was working and in school full time, and I had to figure out how to do something fast. And when I did, the only thing I could think about was, oh my God, there's millions of people in my shoes, So when I wrote it, it had a different mindset, but now when it came out, it was like, this is the time. So there is an angle for everything.
Absolutely. And I just want to add something, Pauline, because you started with, sharing very honestly that social media is probably a weak link for you. When it comes to culture, right? There's 4 pillars to the media: television, radio, print, and digital. Okay. Now, what's happened in the last few years is traditional media and social media, digital media have merged. So back in the day, you used to pick up Forbes magazine. Now you go to Forbes.com. Okay. Yeah. They're one and the same. So when we talk digital, we're actually talking more social media. Okay. Because Forbes.com would actually fall into the print bubble, if you will. Okay. What happens is, if you have good content, and I love that you've got a 30-year pedigree on your content. Again, that helps establish that, foundational credibility. You will get your foot in the door. Absolutely. And at some point, you will be hindered, not you, Pauline, but you, the author, will be hindered if you do not in parallel start developing your social media. Because what will happen is you'll get through the C level, B level media, and you'll want to start playing in the A level. The A level media is so competitive that one of the first things their producers will do is look at your social media numbers. I have no doubt that we could get you featured in Success Magazine, because there's a ton of women who are living, working full time, raising a family, being philanthropic, and they would love to know about your book. Success Magazine is going to have a real hard time featuring you because your social media numbers are not there yet. Okay. So I want to just again highlight that it's really important to do everything in parallel. The beautiful thing about social media, and this is not what Brian and I focus on, right? We focus on traditional media, radio, television, print, but I do want to give a kudos to social media. It allows you to share the content. So you create the content, you do the interview on TV, and then you use your social media to boost it. Social media, if you get a great kid in college who wants to make $200 a month, who's a whiz kid because he's 19 and he's been a millennial his whole life, he can blow your page up. So I want to underscore the importance of a small investment in monthly social media. Please do not do it yourselves. I'm a big fan of do not overload yourself with stuff that is not your genius. But please recognize that if you're going to go get a manicure for $60, you can absolutely hire the kid next door for that same $60, and it will create waves for you in the future. So again, just a tidbit to everyone watching.
Awesome. Okay.
Invest a little bit in the social media side. It will be important eventually.
Okay. Thank you so much.
I'm going to say a couple things here. So Katerina has the 3 E's. I have the 4 E's rating system. Congratulations on your book, Pauline, because guess what, Pauline? You got the 4 E's in your book, don't you?
I do.
All right. So here's the thing about this. I'm connecting these things on top of what Katerina is saying ahead of time. Not everybody knows it. I like to do that. I like to work below the radar. This is why I like having Katerina. I feel she's one of the best speakers in the world, and I tell people that all the time because she is. That's why I wanted her to come to Tennessee. That's why I always like her to speak. I don't want to talk about myself. This is what she does. She's good at teaching these people when it comes to the media. However, what I want to do, I always want to grab those people that nobody's paying attention to. I don't care if you're the janitor or the gardener. If I can get you on our show and you got a good story, I want you first because I'd rather have you first because when I was talking to Keanu Reeves or any of these people, Tom Cruise back in the day, I got them when they were first nobodies, when they were nobodies. Look where they all are now. So I want to do the same thing with the authors. I want them all first. This is where the movie horror in me comes out. I want all those book authors. I want them to come on our show first. And then I can say, hey, I'm already friends with these people. I already know who to mix and match them with. That's what I like to do. And all of a sudden, these Forbes and these success, they start coming, they start calling, and they are. And I go, oh yeah, I've already had that person. Oh yeah, look, go through our website right here. Look through our YouTube channel. It's right here. We had them before you had them. That's what I like to do.
That's exceptional.
I
know you do an incredible job, Brian. You do. Well, thank you, Pauline and Katerina. That was awesome. Perfect. And I know Louise is in the car, so I'm not sure if she can come off mute and ask her question. Where is she? I see her there. Louise, are you able to ask your question that you put in the chat window? I'm just watching the window to see if she's able to come off. Ah, there she is. Yay.
Thank you, Ryan and Katerina, for putting this on. But again, I'm driving in the car. We're heading down to North Dakota. But anyway, my question is, I wrote a children's book, and it's a simple one, and I don't know how that could be. I mean, that's the question. I don't know how that you do would help me bring more interest to this book.
Perfect. So Louisa, what's just a quick premise? What's your book about with respect to the children?
My book is about
life.
Farm.
Oh, farm life.
My whole idea is when I mean, years ago, I wanted to write a book about our life, my husband and mine, and prior, growing up on a farm, and it never took off. But then I got, why don't I do it through the eyes of children? And I wrote it simple and fun, and the connection that people, I think, have found, and I think Judy can say it, by taking this and reading this, they've gone on to even go on further to watch all our footage, because we have a YouTube channel, our business does, and that's where it's exploded, I would guess. And and it's just what I wanted to do is teach people out there what really goes on in the agriculture world. And the hardest thing about getting it into, I would say, media like this is the perception. You've got to be careful what you do, because people are going to look at you and point the finger pretty easy. So
Louise, thank you for that. And Judy, thank you for holding up the book. I had to kind of zoom in because you're just a little on my screen. I'm getting older, but Louisa, I'm going to go back to exactly what I started off with Tom in sharing. Best way to get visibility for your book right now is going to be off the hot topics. And children are very much in the news right now because of the vaccination age debate. Okay. The second thing is people, whether you're a conspiracy theorist or not, another thing that's very much being debated right now is whether or not there is an intentional drive to create food shortage or not. If nothing else, if you don't want to play in the COVID conspiracy theory, which will absolutely guarantee you get into the news, but if you want to be a little careful there, and I can appreciate a lot of people do, you can talk about just general health, and I'm sure your book is also filled with good values, right? Homeschool, good values, keeping it family. So again, without having the time to sit down with you, without having the time to know where you want to go or what you want to do, my PR brain is going off in 5 or 6 different tangents on how to gain the visibility. Your avenue with having it be a children's book is great because the children will read it, and so will the parents, and so will the grandparents. So we're actually a big fan of children's books at Movie Reviews and More, because your audience breadth is actually larger. You think that you're in a niche, but you're actually not. Your breadth of viewership is wider than most people's books. So there's many ways that we can spin this. One thing I'd love everyone on the call to think about is, if you were to get a call tomorrow from your favorite television show, whether that's the Today Show, Good Morning America, Oprah Winfrey, Larry King back in the day, what would that show be? And the reason I ask that question to potential clients is because if you're excited about the interview that's coming down the pipe, you're going to share your content in a way that will intuitively allow the audience to connect with you, right? If you're going to go do an interview you don't want to go do, that energy is going to come through and it'll be fine. It'll be received. It'll happen. You can put it on your website, but who cares? If you get a call from that person that you've always wanted to sit across the table from, your energetic stamp is going to be so much higher. And so once we understand from a PR perspective, what category excites you, is it spirituality? Is it sports? Is it economics? Then we can absolutely start to target that sector. And from there, take a look at the ancillary sectors that might fit with your particular content. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I hope that helps a little bit.
Yeah, yes, you did. Yes, you did. I can see where this could go.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So I would piggyback on this. I think of a girl named Elaine Goodlad in the world of fitness. She grew up on a farm in a small town in Saskatchewan, Canada. She's one of the best hair and makeup women in today, not only in the world of fitness, but in general. But she's graced over 55 magazines in the world of fitness. And she's a great friend. And where do we meet? On Zoom, because I've got out of the 12 co-hosts that are all women that I have, 8 of them are in the world of fitness. So I think about that aspect. And then since you come from the farming aspect of the thing, the Dreamweaver Artist Ranch was all about getting back to the basics, having good food, having 10 great acres, of never having processed soil, never been contaminated. And I know you know what that's like. No fracking, and never having an fire on that. That's why I'm always starting to promote that. And Katerina's did one of our videos for that. And you're going to start to see this blasted within the next 90 days, actually starting the next 5 days with everything. Katerina doesn't know that. I've only talked about it a little bit with her, but watch and see what we do. So on the farming aspect of stuff, I would love to sit and chat with you on that. I need another 8 to 11 seconds with you though, and then I'll figure it out.
Right.
And honestly, Brian, Katerina, Louise, I watch her all the time. As she said, I am a fan of hers and I watch their YouTube channels because she makes it very real. She makes it very engaging. Let's go to engaging, enlightening, and entertaining. She hits all of the 3 E's exactly, because I'm not on a farm. I don't have anything to do with a farm, right? Yep. But I sit there and I'm watching them and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, how great it is, even if I can't be there, to learn about the cows, to learn about bringing in the crops and stuff like that. So great job.
And again, it's like you guys said, get somebody that's better than you. I mean, we have our daughter and daughter-in-law do all the footage and putting all the YouTube captions and everything together. So it's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. And her daughter actually is the one that illustrated the book, by the way. So she's very artistic too. She does photographs as well. So they're very, very family oriented. It's another thing that makes you guys human. And I think that's an important part of getting in front of the media too, is appeal to the heart. Like, make sure people know that you're real.
So I'm going to add the 4th E. So I feel empathetic to what you're doing. So again, the 4 E's, we created it in 1994. It could be anything from empathetic, emotion, exciting, entertaining. If I don't like it, I just call it empty. That's not using it in a negative word, but that's the worst that you can get in the 4 E's. So imagine that.
Yes, and empathy is one of our core values of our operation.
There you go.
Perfect. How in alignment are you? That's fantastic. Well, thank you.
Here's the thing, Louise. More than you know.
Yeah, exactly. exactly. Well, awesome. Thanks for popping on, Louise,
Thank
while you're
you.
on doing the drive. So I'll get to, I want to get to another question here too. So thank you guys. And I believe it was before there was Louise. Michelle, where are you, Michelle? I see you.
I'm right
There
here.
she is. Hi.
Hi,
Great
Brian.
to
Hi,
see
Katerina.
you too.
So I am a children's author as well, and I
But I
am
can't hold it
empath,
up.
so I got the E covered, okay? My book is called It's Okay to Be Pink, and it is a story told in rhyme in the style of Dr. Seuss, my childhood hero. And it is about Bob the Glob, and Bob the Glob is teased because he's pink. He is the only pink glob born in a village of blue globs. And the reason that I created this book over 30 years ago when I was in high school was because I was teased as a child. I was bullied like crazy, including like fully, completely beat up on the tarmac, okay, like bullied. And growing up, that was a difficult thing for me to deal with, of course, as it is for a lot of kids. And so when I entered high school, I was asked to create a book and read it to high school children, or to public school children, which I did, which was this book, and I left it alone for 30 plus years. I didn't really do anything with it. I forgot about it, but I carried it with me throughout everywhere I went. And it was this past year, this April, that I found the original text. And when I read it, I had a reaction to it. And I said, it's time for you to come forward. So my question to you is, I'm very interested in protecting children. That is my goal. I miscarried all of my children, and this book is in dedication to them as well. And one of the things that I decided to do was to create a website along with the book to be able to inform both children and parents with different things that they can look forward, they can discover when their kids are being bullied. So everything from how the child's going to react to how the child might in fact come across at school, how they are at home, that kind of thing, and little things that parents can do at home to help that. I think bullying around here in Canada, we're supposed to have a zero tolerance policy, and yet that is not what I am seeing. When I started voicing this book to a lot of friends, what they said to me was, Michelle, you don't know, but my son's going through this, my daughter's going through this. It's rampant, it's all over the place. So my question to you is, how would you use this book? Oh, by the way, too, there is a portion of every book is being donated back to children's charities, because that's who I am. I feel like I have to give back. That's just the way I am. So it's going to the Kids Help Phone. How would you help me get the word out?
Perfect. So thank you. You know, just like everyone, I can feel that the authors that are part of this team are very purpose-driven. You had birthed a story, Michelle, that has waited 30 years to be shared. And, you know, God's timing is perfect. And now is the time. We recently had a client who was featured in Oxygen magazine. And so as you were sharing the details of your book, again, we look at the demographics of who might be interested. You know, Mothers screams this book, right? So yes. We look at strategically again, where's the audience? Where's the biggest impact going to come from? And how can we, you know, pitch your story in a way that will get picked up? I'm Canadian originally as well, for those of you that are Canadian on the call. I'm from Calgary. So I love that there are so many Canadians here. And I know that this is an incredibly important topic. It's also a timeless topic. This is an evergreen topic. And so you have a piece of a project here that will easily span the next 50 years. What we would do when we sit down together, and what I would urge you to do, even if we don't, is look at who are you speaking to? Is it the parents? Is it the teachers? Is it the kids themselves? And from there, subdivide what you can do with it. I love that you have a charitable element tacked onto this. That, for those of you that may have this as well, it absolutely will help open doors. Okay, especially with local media, your local Channel 10, your local Channel 6. They love to feature anything that is a charitable, that has a charitable element to it. So not that I want you to BS your way into creating that, but if it's coming wholeheartedly from the heart, again, let's use that in your pitch, right? We want to sit down and we want to use everything. If your husband is a tall, good-looking Black man like Brian, great. We could probably use that somehow, right? I'll look at everything. What can we use? Because we're in the business of marketing. We are marketing your passion. And whatever way will allow us to do that in a way that creates integrity and keeps it real is absolutely what we want to look at. So again, I want to broaden your minds, get away from just the focus of the book and look at what else is part of the book and how can we use those to open doors in order to get the book out there.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Here's what I see. 6 seconds into, I wanted to interrupt you, but the radio guy says, no, you got to let her finish and then jump in at the end. So I heard PBS right off the bat. I heard Cartoon Channel. I deal with both of them, obviously, all the time. You are PBS. We're all about anthropology. Very, very important. So the other thing about that is St. Jude's Hospital. St. Jude's Hospital goes right into that, Nashville, Tennessee. So that'd be another thing that goes on.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and just sorry, Judy, one moment, playing on what Brian just said. We think of getting in a magazine, getting on TV, but what Brian just said is really important. St. Jude's Hospital. What event can you tack on to? What event in your local area? What event happening nationally? What event happening internationally? Can you get together with your local UNICEF at Halloween and somehow offer your book as a prize? There's a number of ways to gain that exposure. So please, again, expand your thinking beyond just television, radio, print.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
That's an exceptional idea. I love that because Michelle's a fellow Canadian as well. Yay. So there is our hospital, Sick Kids Hospital, our local hospitals too. I mean, it's huge. It's schools everywhere. Public is harder to get into, but Catholic and private schools would be incredible to have this. Absolutely. We're dealing with it every single day.
And sorry, Judy, just one more thing. Again, going down that path, if you're friendly with your local dentist, right? And you say, hey, can I sell you 3 books and just have them in the lobby, right? Have them in the waiting room. Where can you get in front of parents? Just keep asking yourself that question. And, you've got a book that sounds very important. I'm sure you'll get a lot of people willing to help expose it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, both of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Thanks, Michelle. That's awesome. Awesome. And I know that Muriel, I believe she asked a question yesterday. So you're up, Muriel.
Am I on with?
You
yes.
are on.
Okay.
Front and center.
My question is quite different from whatever somebody asked so far. I'm interested in getting on a show here in Canada, in Toronto. And how do I present myself? How do I express my request to them? Do I give them a lot of information, or I wait for their reply and then provide maybe a copy of my book or whatever? This is my question. This is the book. The best move of your life. And it was quite a few years in the making too. And it all came about from a lot of people talking about their bad experience with moving. And over the years, I'm a person that writes little notes and puts them away. And my husband finally corrected me of that when I start writing my books. Now I have books and I accumulate information. So one day I took all these little notes And I talked to a friend of mine, a real estate agent, and she said, don't bother, it's not going to go anywhere. Well, 20 years later, which is now 30 years later, I wrote a book, and I wrote it about the best move of your life. And I cover like a lot of information that I gather from talking to people like, oh yeah, if you do this or if you do that. So, and also I'm very bad on social media. I have a weekly tip and I don't have too many people looking at it. So I need your help.
Perfect. So thank you, Muriel, for that question. It's an important question. And I love that you asked it, because this is a place that we see people making a huge mistake. People are excited to share who they are, and they're excited to get featured. And so you want to gain the attention of the producer, the journalist, the editor-in-chief, whoever you're pitching to. Biggest mistake we see in this industry is people oversharing with the first touch point, okay? When we work together, we have something that we've coined, how to pitch producers in just one phone call. Because what happens is most people try to call and you get hung up on, right? So there's a formula that will ensure that instead of getting click, they hung up, you get a tell me more, right? That was part of your question. I'm not going to give that away right now, but what I can give away is, if you're sending an email, which most people prefer, we prefer telephone, old school telephone, human voice to human voice, figure out a way to get through the damn receptionist, okay? But if you want to start with email, the biggest mistake we see people make is oversharing. So the producer, the director, the radio host sits down at their desk in the morning and they open up their email and there's 100 emails, right? Now they're coming in pissed off about traffic, having fought with their wife in the morning, hungry because they didn't have enough dinner last night, and they've got 100 people trying to pitch them. If you offer an email that has all of your links, all of your videos, all of your content, it will get deleted. I promise you it will. People are overloaded. They do not have time to sift through your content of 5 attachments to figure out who you are or what you're about. So always, always, always on the initial touch point, less is more. Now, how do you compile that less so that it's engaging enough for them to say, hey, tell me more? Is again, part of the strategic media development. What you want to do is you want to keep it short, and you want to frame it in a way that has less to do with the audience and more to do with that producer himself, okay? Because what most people don't recognize is your goal as Muriel here is to talk to the audience over here. And there's thousands of people that have moved, thousands of people that would be interested in this book, thousands of people that would probably buy it for their teenage 18-year-old off to college, you know what I'm saying? But what's standing in the way of you and these thousands of people is what we call the media gatekeeper, okay? That's the producer, the program director, the executive, the editor-in-chief. It has to get through them in order to hit their audience. And the mistake most people make is they tailor their pitch to the end user. The end user is never going to know about you if you can't get through the producer. So you have to tailor your initial pitch to the producer in a way that will make them feel that if they invite you on as a guest, it will increase their ratings. It will get them a pat on the back from their boss. It will get them a bonus at Christmas time. I mean, we got to go back to basics. Everyone is in it for themselves, guys. And if you can't figure out a way in those 100 emails when he spilled coffee on his shirt 5 minutes ago to get his attention, it's a wasted effort on your part. So again, I want to really underscore that there is a science to this. And if you have someone lock arms with you that has done it for years and years and years, it will be much easier. So for now, just keep it short, keep it tight, and tailor it to the gatekeeper. Once the gatekeeper says, hey, we'd love to have you on Movie Reviews and More because you made Brian smile, right? Then you can get on the show and say anything you want to say. Once you're on the program, the audience is then yours. Okay. Your book might be about moving, but you feel like talking about how you love eggplant. Great. At that point, it's irrelevant. What you need to do is get through the gatekeeper first. So please, again, generically, please keep that in mind for all of you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Very informative.
It is. That is so incredibly important. I've always said it is harder to talk shorter, to write shorter, than to write longer. And you're right. We have a tendency to give the media way too much information. And we're talking to the end user. That also, I think, was one of the most important points that you just made, is it isn't the end user yet. Get his attention first. As always, everything we do when we're sending that kind of thing is what's in it for them. How do we benefit their life? How do we make their life easier? So,
yeah, and fortunately,
fantastic.
I mean, it's a bit of both, but yes, absolutely.
Yeah, incredible information. And I know, guys, you have been incredible at keeping us and staying with us over the hour. So I do want to wrap for everybody now. So unless someone has any last minute question that they'd like to get answered, I think you guys have done an absolutely incredible job. I've known you guys for a while now, talked to you many times, and yet I'm still always learning. So you guys are absolutely amazing, both of you. I'm so fortunate to have you in my life and to have you here to support our authors.
Absolutely.
May I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Brian. Yeah.
It's Tom here.
Oh, it's Tom.
I just want to say that earlier in the show, when you made that comment regarding segueing back to your career or something in your life that's separate from the journey that we're on, I realized that I'm a lighting designer, a lighting business. And I realized that that's a segue into being a torchbearer of my mother's message. So thank you for that.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing that. And again, do you see, Tom, how that opens up a completely different conversation? You know, that can open up getting you into Architectural Digest and sharing your story about your mother.
Right.
I mean, you know, just taking the spiritual element of being a light could get you onto Oprah. You know, I mean, there's so many ways that we can work with you that will gain you that exposure to share the story that your viewers, that the collective, I think we all can appreciate that we're at a time where we need to be friends. We need to lead with love.
Oh, yeah.
We need to be collaborative.
Oh,
and
big time.
you know, and same thing back to you, Judy. We thank you for always, you know, offering us this platform to share what we do best and what we love. And Tom, you know, Sarita, Aldona, I've written your names down because I love to just research you a little bit more behind the scenes. I thank you all, Muriel, Michelle, Pauline, for sharing your content, and everyone else out on the call. It's not easy to author a book. It's not easy to birth it. And whatever we can do to help, just please know that we're here.
Thank you.
What an awesome thing. And after the call, I had already talked to Toledo and said that we will put out the information to how to find you guys. Jen shared earlier in the chat window how to find you both. So absolutely, we will make sure after the call today that we bring the information to all of you on the call. So thank you all. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you both for taking the time out of your busy schedules and joining us today. We're honored and we thank you both. Brian, are you able to talk for 1 second and leave us with the message you always like to leave with?
Yes. If you see someone without a smile, please give them one of yours because the world needs it. I'm Brian Sebastian, and this is Movie Reviews and More.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your day and share your smile. Bye, guys.
Bye.
God bless.
Bye, everyone.